Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Showtime again, our second show of the day. Today, the 24th of January, Friday. We're in with our 12th show of the season 3 of the Diversey BW Hotelier GM show series. I'm happy to be in Hyderabad again with this show, the 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. show. The topic for the session today is adapting operational strategies for emerging South Indian markets. I have some of the finest general manager talent that the industry can afford today on show. And South India has long been a hub of cultural heritage, tourism, and economic growth. In recent years, Telangana and Andhra Pradesh have emerged as key markets for the hospitality sector, driven by increasing urbanization, infrastructure development, and a thriving IT and industrial base. In fact, if you were to ask me, it was Hyderabad which started the IT revolution in India. And to unravel the unique challenges and opportunities in these emerging markets, we are today joined by a stellar lineup of hospitality leaders, and our moderator for the session is none other than Shrikant Wakharkar, who's the Area Vice President for Hyatt Hotels, South and Central, and also the General Manager for the rather well-appointed Park Hyatt Hyderabad. My second show with Shrikant. Welcome to the show, Shrikant.
Hi, Bhuvanesh. Good evening to you and everyone on the show. It's a pleasure to be with you for a second time now. And I thoroughly enjoyed the first interaction and look forward to some great exchange of ideas and insights on this show today.
So Shrikant is pretty much that 4G. I mean, when you deal with him, you realize his discipline, his repertoire for the industry, and also for the unaware few. Shrikant is a great trekker. He's an outdoor man who has a few pets, and he actually spends good time and manages his life in a well-balanced manner. So welcome to the show, Shrikant. Let me also bring in the other speakers, with your permission. First in is Arnab Gupta, who's the General Manager of the Taj Deccan in Hyderabad. Welcome to the show, Arnab. You're muted.
Good evening, Sagar. It's always great to interact. Very fortunate to have met you recently also.
Pleasure. So Mumbai boy from Calcutta, now in Hyderabad. He's a Mumbai born and brought up. Next in is Amit Sachdeva, who's the Cluster General Manager, Hyderabad Marriott Hotel and Convention Center, and also the General Manager for the Courtyard by Marriott Hyderabad. Welcome to the show, Amit.
Thank you, Bhuvanesh. Thank you for having me here. Hi, Shrikant. Hi, Arnab. Lovely to be here. First show, and I'm really looking forward.
Pleasure. Pleasure having you here. Next in is Vaibhav Sagar. Vaibhav Sagar is the General Manager of the Meriden, Hyderabad. Welcome to the show, Vaibhav, our first show together.
Bhuvanesh, good evening. Happy to be here. It's my pleasure and an honor to interact with all of you on the panel and everyone's watching. Looking forward.
Delighted to have you on show, Vaibhav.
Thanks.
Last but not the least, Sukhbir Singh, who's the General Manager of the Novotel Hyderabad Hotel. Welcome to the show, Sukhbir.
Thank you, Bhuvanesh, and good evening, all panel members. It's a pleasure to be here.
Such a delight. And as you can see, look at the properties these gentlemen had. Fantastic properties. They show their assets off in the virtual screen behind them. You know, these properties are worth thousands of crores, while these gentlemen churn out hundreds of crores worth of revenue. Can you imagine? They generate thousands of direct and indirect employment. And this is where this industry matters. This is an industry which is perhaps the biggest employment generator, both direct and indirect. And for all those youngsters and all those wannabe hoteliers who are watching the show, be under their, take them in as a guru in the Guru Shishya Parampara, and take them in as their mentors and follow each word that they will speak today, because they carry the weight of their experience on their broad shoulders. So let me bring in Shrikant, if you, with all respect to you, may I begin with you and get rolling with the first question?
Yes, please, with pleasure.
All right. So Shrikant, with, like I said, with the weight of all your experience, you are someone who's overseen operations of this luxury hotel in Hyderabad. Before that, Kochi, Delhi, and you've noticed the key trends that we foresee in the hospitality sector in Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. If you can tell us, what do you see over the next 3 to 5 years?
Okay, so firstly, I would say that over the last 3 to 4 years, Hyderabad has witnessed exponential growth, be it in occupancy or especially in room rates. They've really gone up, and Hyderabad promises to be one of the best markets for hospitality in the country. Talking about what I foresee as trends in the next 3 to 5 years, in today's day and age, data analytics and artificial intelligence, AI especially, is the way to go forward. And I think we need to really understand how can we actually use or leverage AI and data analytics to manage guest preferences, to understand guest preferences. I would say that the future would kind of consist of mobile check-ins to perhaps voice-activated room controls. These are a couple of trends to watch out for. The other one which I would talk about is sustainability, because everybody is very conscious about the environment and the planet now. AP, Andhra Pradesh itself talks about becoming a renewable energy hub. Telangana is also very, very, it emphasizes on eco-friendly initiatives. So I would say that hotels must adopt green certifications going forward. They should look at energy efficient designs and also look at local sourcing, when it comes to raw materials and key ingredients. The other thing which we've noticed is that medical tourism is on the rise in Hyderabad. There are some very good medical facilities and hospitals. To kind of complement that, hotels should also integrate wellness programs in hotel stays. So this would kind of, dovetail well with the rise of medical tourism. And lastly, I would talk about this new trend, which is called digital nomad, okay, where people are working while they're on the move. So it's important that the hotels of the future have something called co-working friendly spaces and extended stay facilities. So these were some of the things which I would, talk about when it comes to trends over the next few years.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with you. The way technology is and touchless. And also, look, if COVID was a problem for all of us, it was also a blessing in disguise. Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing shows virtually, right?
Absolutely.
But so technology has actually become part and parcel of our life. And now with the coming in and the advent of AI, look at what CGPT is doing, ChatGPT.
Oh, yeah.
So AI is the next frontier, which is going to help the hospitality, travel, tourism, and F&B industry in manner that we have not yet seen. And this frontier has so many possibilities, right? And of course, we need to manage these rather expensive assets and propositions, and this will also help us to get near to the guests who travel and make our hotels their home for a while. Thank you so much, Shrikant. May I hand over the reins of the show to you, and you take it from here.
Okay, thank you, Bhuvanesh. Let me get Arnab for the first question. Arnab, your hotel has recently undergone a renovation program or refurbishment program. So can you tell us about how do you position Taj Deccan as a leading property in Hyderabad, especially amongst Taj hotels and otherwise, amidst the growing competition and evolving customer expectations?
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Shrikant.
Hi.
So, Taj Deccan has been one of the iconic properties, at the heart of the city. At once upon a time was the most favored, address in Hyderabad, Banjara Hills. Been there for 32 years, 6 acres of lush green landscape. So it had all. However, over the last 10 years, as we all have observed, the cityscape has changed. A lot of demand has gone towards the high-tech city. The guest profile, their expectations has evolved. And therefore, it was very important that we also understand, as a IHCL hotel, what is the customer value proposition? Because for us, customer centricity is the prime most important thing. Everything else is around that. So therefore, the hotel had to go through a complete renovation. We did that for the rooms. We did that for our fine dining restaurant, Pan Asian restaurant Atsu. We launched it last year along with the bar Whisk, which was really providing trending and progressive food and beverage, because that's very important. I mean, we all work in the landscape where we have seen over the last 3, 4 years, especially post COVID, great restaurants, standalone restaurants coming up, large convention centers, private wedding halls, which have really taken a lot of business away from hotels. Apart from that, it's also imperative that we upgrade our product, because, as you mentioned, the ADR growth in Hyderabad has been phenomenal. I think across the country, Hyderabad has seen the highest ADR growth in the last few years. So it's very imperative that we have the renovation done in time. So while we have a renovated product, a great, offering, a great Taj brand in the middle of the city, it's also important that we support it with our great service standards, because the same guest who, pre-COVID was probably paying a certain amount for the room or for the dining is now paying almost double the price in Hyderabad. So what is it different that we are offering, in terms of elevated experience? So that, of course, comes along with a lot of, back-end training, grooming of our individual team members, ensuring they stay with the company, they grow with the company, they bring in a lot of value. And as you mentioned, a lot of incorporation of technology. I think post-COVID, one of the things which we as hoteliers learned is that technology brings in much more efficiency. It's no longer we no longer only a soft skill driven industry. So over and all, when you incorporate all these things, we see that visible positioning with the increase in rates, so Taj Deccan, for example, has had a 25% increase in top line with a 70% flow through over the last couple of years post renovation. Great customer satisfaction scores across the Net Promoter Score and your online review channels. And overall, you see that, and combined with Taj Krishna, total together, it's like a large complex of 450 rooms with large banqueting space. So it gives a great avenue for guests to choose, when they opt for a great luxury, hotel, condominium, or a complex for their experiences.
Yeah, Arnab, you mentioned about guest satisfaction. So what are your top operational priorities to ensure consistently high scores on guest satisfaction?
So this for me, I've been here for the last, I mean, while for me, Hyderabad has been an 8-year-old stint, but I have been with Taj Deccan for last 6 to 7 months. So for me, I would broadly kind of divide it into three key parameters. The first is to enhance the overall customer experience. So when I mentioned that, I mean, of course, being part of a luxury brand, it kind of comes along in terms of the product and offerings. But it's very important to understand that in today's world, uh, the customer loyalty is something which you can't take for granted. So while we have, being part of IHCL, being part of Tata Group, you have the strength of Tata New, you have the strength of the great, Inner Circle, Epicure programs, the Chambers membership. It's also important that we understand what is it that the guest feel valued. We always talk about, staff to be recognized and rewarded. What is it that we do for our guests? Sometimes it's not only about great product. Sometimes it's not about great frills or, extra service what you give. Sometimes it's just about meeting their preferences. The smaller, things which matter to them. The purpose of the visit. Those small touch points. It adds on a great, difference in the overall experience.
Yeah, the
The
soft
second
touches
thing,
make a difference to you.
yes, absolutely. The second thing is, catering to the evolved, what I was mentioning, catering to the evolved, demand of the customers. Today, I mean, we all have been, in the last couple of years, we have seen the G20s happening, the Cricket World Cup, great summits, global CEOs who have visited our hotels. When we cater to these events, we have seen some of the largest weddings happening in our country, where largest concerts happening. When we cater to these guests, their demands, their expectations are also evolved. So sometimes it's important that we keep changing our the service design in terms of your overall capability to handle that. So enable the team, enable the hotel overall to be capable to handle these kind of future events and be prepared for bigger and better events. Because I think Hyderabad, the way it is growing, in the next 3 to 4 years, probably some of the biggest events happening in the country, or the biggest, visits will happen at Hyderabad. And the third thing, which sometimes, gets ignored, but as I said, post-COVID has become extremely important, is focus on our overall efficiency and processes. So, which probably would factor in hygiene, safety, bringing in technology, and to some extent also handling compliances, because for example, like IHCL and many other international brands which are operating in India, they're expanding at an exponential pace. When you start doubling your inventory, how do you control these parameters? So it's very important that the focus on these things remain. And again, being part of IHCL and being part of Tata Group, a lot of our sister companies or a lot of our sister hotels themselves are a great example to benchmark ourselves against.
Yeah.
So these are the three things which has been our focus to ensure that the overall customer experience is paramount.
Great. Thank you, Arnab. You spoke about events and large conventions. So I would ask Amit the next question. Amit, pleasure to have you on the show, and
Thanks,
you
Shrikant.
run the first real convention center which actually was established in the city, and a great cluster of hotels at the Marriott and Courtyard. So with Hyderabad becoming a hub for conventions and large format events, how do you manage operations seamlessly to cater such high demand situations? Can you enlighten us a little about it?
So, Shrikant, for us, the success lies in segregating the operation. So, segregating the restaurants and lounges from the banqueting operations. Now, what we have done at Marriott, we have hired event specialists. Now, there is an operations team, there is a sales team. These event specialists lie somewhere in between. So, once the sales activity is complete, the sales will hand over basically the upcoming event to the event planners. Now, this event planning team, they do the detailing with the client, and they handhold the client right till the end of the event. So they take care of the client right till the end of the execution. So essentially, they become a bridge between the F&B operations and the client, and ensure that every feedback is basically translated real time. So by having these guys has the point of contact, what it actually does is that in a very, very, very busy operation, every event, since they have a point of contact, they get the due attention they deserve, irrespective of their size. There's a separate team taking care of the restaurants and lounges, separate team taking care of the events, and with a person in charge for each and every event. We have somebody who has who's right on their call if there is a concern to address, or if there is any addition, subtraction, any kind of extra services that are required. Now, this happens without disturbing the restaurant and lounges operations at the hotel. So for us, that is the mantra for success, that we have segregated the operation. Now, it may seem like an expensive proposition, but when you run large facilities like ours, it actually makes a lot of sense in having specialists rather than generalists. So that's our mantra for success.
That's really very interesting. I think that would be a real catalyst in ensuring that the operation becomes kind of seamless, because many a times guests have this problem of one point of contact during negotiations, and then suddenly somebody new kind of pops up on the scene who they are not familiar with. So this is really something good.
No, you know what, Shrikant, that one person who's actually sat down through the menu selection, through the finalization, through the tasting, and that same person, when a guest sees that same person standing there in the event, helping with the execution, it actually creates that rapport with the client as well,
True.
where they feel that they're getting the right attention. And frankly, if there is somebody who's there to address small, hiccups, if they ever do arrive, then the event goes seamlessly. Especially for large operations, I think this is the mantra for success.
Thank you, Amit. Vaibhav, we will ask you the next one. Meriden is a relatively young hotel in the city landscape, about 6 years or so.
50 year.
Fifth year, okay, great. So, Meriden is known for its art and coffees and eclairs. So what kind of operational adjustments from your side have been kind of critical in ensuring that the brand captures the growing corporate as well as leisure markets?
You rightly mentioned the Le Meriden has many brand programming. You mentioned about coffee culture. It has many other programming of F&B and programs which talk about culture as Le Meriden and culture of the city. So coming to how we take care of these guests who are corporate and leisure, mostly corporate in the part of the city where we are, it is about elevated MICE offerings, hybrid conferencing capabilities. Now, Amit spoke about events team. So this becomes very important, imperative part of conferencing and MICE. We offer bespoke experiences that celebrate Hyderabad's rich cultural heritage, including guided city tours, culinary explorations, which highlight the authentic local flavors as well. Now, when we talk about guest experience, guest satisfaction, innovative engagement activities that blend relaxation, recreation, and culture discovery are also part of it when it comes to guest experiences, taking care of our guests who are corporate and leisure both.
Thank you. The next one, Sukhbir, you literally rule the roost at the airport side. There is absolutely no competition there. So you are literally enjoy being a monopolistic player. And we've been hearing some great things that you guys have been doing out there, including recently we had a very famous artist who was staying with you all, and many of our colleagues have been there for the show. So talking about your hotel, Novotel Hyderabad being a key transit hotel for business and leisure travelers, how do you optimize your operations to cater to a very diverse guest profile? Because you have some people who are there for a few hours perhaps, and then some for overnight stays, and some from the leisure market as well. So tell us about managing a diverse set of guest profiles.
Yeah, so I think I am one of those fortunate ones who runs a brand new 16-year-old hotel. And that's because we went through a major refurb. The virtual screen behind me tells you how expansive this is. This is about close to 300 rooms spread over 7 acres. Now, this is neither an airport hotel, neither is a business hotel, neither is it a resort. It is actually a business resort close to the airport. So I cater to just about everyone. We have large MICE capabilities. Because of the sheer inventory, we are able to do that. But it's a very, very niche crowd that we cater to. That's because of the fact that we are placed at a place where pricing is not necessarily a concern for people who are coming in. I think it's more to do with the logistics. People find more sense in being close to the airport, so they don't have to spend hours getting into the city and coming out of the city. The wedding segment is big for us. And I think what is the departure, the other panelists also mentioned, like in the past, MICE used to be more of a filler business. Today, it is an yielding business for me. So, and that's about 25% of my business. And of course, by virtue that I am close to the airport, it is a boon. There is no competition. It's not always such a good case because I am the only one here. So anything larger than what I can handle then moves to the city because there is a larger cluster there. So, and yes, we have been fortunate. Arnab was mentioning about these major concerts. They all happen in my backyard. Whether it is Arijit, whether it is Brian Adams, whether it was, I mean, whoever is coming in, and because of the sheer amount of space that we have in this particular ecosystem. And interestingly, the ecosystem at the airport is growing rapidly. The airport is growing, the ecosystem is growing, it is becoming an aero city. And I think in about 5 years' time, this is going to be like a self-contained mini city in Hyderabad, without having necessarily to do anything with the city per se. I mean, by virtue of being here, we tend to cater to union ministers. We have Bollywood stars, we have chairmans and corporate and MICE and weddings all happening at the same time. We have been lucky because the way the hotel was designed, I think and way Accor operates, we managed to get a lot of people who are long haulers. So today my hotel would boast of at least over a dozen people who have been here for over 10 years in the same unit. And then there is, because of the sheer growth of the company, we have been able to move a lot of internal talent. And because the hotel is large and there is a certain positioning, I think it is a very coveted position for a lot of people to come in. I personally came back after having left Hyderabad, and I was in the same hotel about 11 years ago, and then I came back. As the city has changed, and the hotel has changed, and I get a chance to run a brand new hotel now. So yeah, I don't think I need to make too much of an effort, honestly. I think it's a cliched statement, but I don't have to make too much of an effort because I'm blessed with a great team, and I think they make me look good.
Thank you so much. Over to the host for the evening, Mr. Khanna.
Yeah, I'll just take a short break, but I like that punchline that Sukhbir just said. The team makes him look good. Yeah, well, that's quite a statement. Yeah. All right, I'll just take a short commercial break, 30 seconds, and I'll be back with Shrikant. Thank you, Diversey. Diversey, you've been a great support for us, not just for us, for the industry. You're putting your money at the right place. You're helping us to reach this message across to the right target audience, which is hoteliers and wannabe hoteliers who are aspiring to carve a niche in this industry, and those ones who are trying to carve a career for themselves. This is a great job. Look at all these hoteliers. They've done years over there. Look at the number of years they've done, and look at the number of places they've been. They move like army officers. They move from place to place, from hotel to hotel, and they keep taking one challenge after another. And they handle and rub shoulders with celebrities and heads of states alike with aplomb. Right? So be there. This is the industry to be in if you're watching this. Now, let me slip in one more question to you. Shrikant, you've handled large parts of the country. Right now, you have a huge segment. You handle the South, you handle the Central for Hyatt. You've done this, you've done that. But there are operational challenges when you're growing about operational excellence. Tell me, South Indian markets, particularly Telangana and Andhra Pradesh, they are growing and the change is rapid. How can hotels in the region balance operational excellence with the growing demand for innovation?
Okay, I'll take off from what I had spoken earlier. on. First and foremost, we need to realize that data is precious. It's the new oil, as they say. Okay, so first and foremost, we need to talk about, I would talk about data-driven decisions. How is it that we can leverage analytics to understand guest preferences and deliver on guest preferences? This would definitely help us optimize on operational efficiency. The other thing I spoke about briefly was about tech integration. So how is it that we can use automation for very routine tasks like check-in, check-outs? You know, we have web check-ins now. We have all the information about expected time of arrival, expected time of departure. So it helps us plan our operation very efficiently. How can we deploy advanced CRM systems for seamless service delivery? The other point I would talk about is sustainability initiatives. We need to invest in renewable energy, or have a very efficient waste management system in place. Concentrate on water conservation to align with consumer preferences, who are very much looking for eco-conscious brands of hotels to stay in. And last but not the least, I would say it's about upskilling the workforce. We need to train our staff efficiently to deliver personalized service, culturally nuanced service, while ensuring that we have adapted to the technological advancement. So it's a mix of old school and modern school. But how can we harmoniously blend all of this together? That is something which I would say would be the region balance for optimizing growth, demand, and innovation.
Yeah, that's hospitality is all about clockwork precision, right? It's like an orchestra. Everybody plays in harmony with each other to give the best guest experience, not just to the guests, but also to all the walk-in clients who are frequenting your restaurants and all the other facilities. But well said, Shrikant. So why don't you slip in an extra question to Arnab?
Okay. So Arnab, Hyderabad is known as a city of culinary excellence, and you did speak briefly about how you've been able to do some wonders in your F&B spaces. So can you tell us a little more about how you positioned Taj Deccan's F&B offerings to reflect the city's cultural heritage or culinary heritage, while meeting the evolving expectations and demands of global travelers?
So Hyderabad, I mean, is I think the culinary capital of the country. In fact, when you asked this question, I remember one of my toughest events or weddings I handled when I was in Falaknuma, where the bride was from Hyderabad and the groom side was from Lucknow, and they both wanted to win over each other, who's better in handling, or impressing the other. So I think Hyderabad, Lucknow are known for their cuisine and mehman nawazi. Nobody can beat. So, in a way, being in Hyderabad, I've realized you can't teach the city, hospitality and culinary finesse, because that's something which is ingrained in the ethos and culture of the way events happen here, or the way, guests entertain each other. But while we are aware of it, it's also important to understand that over the last 5 years, the city, the profile of guests have changed. Today, most of the Hyderabadi guests themselves are global travelers. They are aware of the latest trends. We, as I mentioned in my earlier answer, we ourselves are being pushed by the standalone restaurants and bars which are coming up with the latest trends, the global brands which are coming in. So it's very important to, while we remain true to our flavors, we remain true to our ingredients, our recipes. We also evolve in our overall presentation. So that's something which we have tried when we launched our new restaurant and bar, and we redid our all-day diner. So the guests will always appreciate the true flavors. They will always appreciate the taste of the food, but how it is presented. It cannot be the old school traditional way of presenting F&B. It has to be new. It has to be trendy. It has to be something which they have not seen when they have traveled to other parts of the country or other parts of the world. So that's a challenge. Of course, we have the advantage of having so many chefs around. We have the Golden Dragon at Taj Krishna. We have the Thai Pavilion at Vivanta. We have Ada, which is an award-winning restaurant at Falaknuma. So when you have the expertise of so many chefs, of so many award-winning restaurants, it's all about putting it together and bringing your best food forward. So we have had the Golden Dragon chef who's come in to launch the Asian restaurant, the Pan-Asian restaurant here at Deccan.
Okay.
So you always have that advantage, and it's always important to bring in new talent. We've got a beverage guy, from Park Hyatt. He does great trendy cocktails. So it's always good to get new talent to bring in new, way we can change and innovate our F&B offering, but remain true to the taste and the flavor.
Sure. Thank you. So Amit, I know that you are the lone player as far as Marriott is concerned, this side of town. All the other hotels of the Marriott are clustered in the other side of town, and there are so many of them. So can you tell us a little about how Marriott properties in the city are adapting their F&B strategies to suit local as well as global preferences?
I was afraid, like Arnab almost stole my thunder, but I'll try and give you the best possible answer on this. See, for Marriott, the thing is that we actually have a team at the continent level that is looking at what is happening globally. They are devising macro strategies for the entire continent, which are translated down to our regional office, which basically has three separate directors and a qualified chef. So these three directors for different regions and the chef, their job is to look at the global trends, study them, formulate strategies which will work in the three sub-regions in South Asia, and those are translated to hotels. Now, it is not a complete top-down approach. So what they do, they prepare the framework, they send it to hotels. Hotels are supposed to act upon those by doing their own additions. Hotels per se are actually encouraged to go hyper-local as far as sourcing is concerned, so that the ingredients remain authentic, so that the experience that we are giving to the customer remains absolutely authentic. Now, I'll give you an example for our hotel. First, in terms of basically what kind of food that we are serving to the local client. We've got a restaurant called Bidri, which is TripAdvisor #1, fantastic Indian food. Now, what we've done, we actually have gone hyperlocal as far as the chefs there are concerned. Now, there was a time when people used to pride hiring Michelin star chefs for international cuisines. What we've done, we've hired chefs for particular cuisines. So there is a particular Andhra chef, there is a particular biryani chef, there is a particular kebab chef. Now, what these chefs do, they provide authentic flavors to all our guests, like we would do with international cuisines. And as far as taking care of the global travelers are concerned, of course, we get a lot of help from all our sister hotels in terms of different cuisines that we offer. We have, like I said, we have a think tank that is there centrally, which actually is helping us with not just cuisines, technologies, but different trends. And what we do, we use the local flavors and we basically extrapolate them and present it to our guests. There's something which is very interesting that is actually happening in India, and especially in the Andhra Telangana region. That there was a point when the Andhra Telangana cuisine was actually relegated to small tiffins and the small, with due love and respect, Rujulu restaurants. But now there is a growing awareness. Even standalones like Antera, they have actually brought Andhra, Telangana, Rayalaseema, and there are so many restaurants, other restaurants in the city, which have actually made the local cuisine fashionable. So what we've done, we picked up on that trend as well, and we ensure that our all-day dining and Bidri restaurant is riding that wave and serving that cuisine to our guests, to our local guests, as well as international guests. There are times then, yes, more recipes are modified. There are times then presentation, and of course the degree of hotness that is obviously modified as far as the international palate. But all these strategies combined have actually helped us cater to our global as well as local clients.
Excellent, Amit. Very well said.
Yeah. Really good. You spoke about the think tank. So this think tank is based out of Hong Kong for the entire ASPAC region.
So this think tank actually is based out of Singapore. Now, yeah. So this gentleman, I mean, the team is based out of Singapore, but they have sub teams in all areas. So like there is one team in South Asia which is taking care of India, Bangladesh, Bhutan, Nepal, and Sri Lanka. There is one team which is taking care of Indonesia. There is one team which is taking care of Malaysia and Singapore. There is one team which is taking care of Thailand, Vietnam, Guam. Now, all these people together collectively, they come up with macro strategies, which again are percolated down to the regions and then to hotels, which are further bifurcated. Like and I mean everything doesn't work everywhere, but these macro trends that are picked up from what is happening globally are conveyed to all these hotels, and hotels are encouraged to build on these trends, and then of course formulate their offering according to these trends so that obviously the global travelers are well taken care of. But there's a lot of focus, like I said, on local clientele as well. In fact, more than 50% of the revenue that we make in our restaurants actually come from our non-resident guests.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
So that's a very interesting hub and spoke model. So you have the hub in Singapore and they get into the local parts. Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah, the scale helps, Bhuvanesh, because now we are now we have over 8,000 hotels globally, and we have over 500 hotels in Southeast Asia, except China. With that kind of a number,
Yes,
it just helps. It just helps that we have somebody at the top, devising the main strategies, and then we have hotels executing what is envisioned for the entire company.
Thank you, Amit.
Thank you. Vaibhav, we dwelled briefly a couple of minutes back on the Meriden brand, which is reflective of art, culture, etc. So can you tell us about how does the brand actually integrate local culture and heritage into the overall guest experience at the property?
Yeah, Le Meriden is a distinctive brand of Marriott. Now, what is distinctive about it? Le Meriden being a European brand, originated, it's a French brand, but wherever Le Meriden is, whether it is in Hyderabad, Delhi, or any part of the world, it will exhibit local culture. Now, when I say exhibit local culture, let me talk about the Le Meriden in Hyderabad. Now, when a guest is welcomed in our hotel, the ambience is inspired by Hyderabad's history, local crafted artifacts. If you've been to Le Meriden lobby, we call it the hub. It showcases the topography of Hyderabad, which adorns the lakes, the mountains, the Bidiri art, which is very popular on the window panes. The Bidiri art is from Bidar. So the property also reflects the city's cultural legacy. So this is from the start when the guest enters in the lobby, which we call as the hub. The key card itself, which is given to the guest, is a curated piece of art, which is created with or by renowned artists. So the key card itself is an art which guests are encouraged to take it back with them. We have a key card program. It's in all Le Meridians. The one which we have here exhibits the local culture of South of India, because this is about hospitality in South of India. Now, there are other programming as well. We have a programming called La Vie. Now, La Vie is actually the life. Now, how do we blend this programming, which is a French word, La Vie, into the culture which we have in Hyderabad? Now, it as I said, it means the life. It connects guests. This programming connects guests while they are in the hotel with us, with the local culture through the heritage walks, which we organize for them, the craft workshops, the storytelling. Now, there is a program called Unlock Art Program, which is part of La Vie, the life, which we call in the English language. A guest can go to Shilpa Ramam, like who are from Hyderabad would definitely know that Shilpa Ramam is an arts and craft place in Hyderabad. Now, you can just go to Shilpa Raman, show your key card, and enter and go through the local culture of Telangana, Andhra, South India in that art and craft village. This is the journey of a guest connected to the local culture, a French brand coming to Hyderabad, knowing about Hyderabad culture, the South India culture through their stay with us. Not only that, I spoke about Unlock Art program. I spoke about the Life, which is Lovey program, the Key Card program. Now, these are curated tours which take guests to the landmarks like everyone's heard about Charminar, Golconda Fort. There are itineraries which are made for the guests who are staying with us. And there are checklists which is given to, so when I talk about checklist, there are a checklist of things for the guest to do while they're here with us. So mostly these checklists are given to the long staying guests. So anybody who's staying for us, being a transient corporate market, anybody who's staying for more than 3 nights is given a checklist. These are the things, these are the itineraries which we curate for you, including food, tour, culture, what is there in the hotel, the arts which I spoke about while they stay with us. So this is what we do, connecting a French brand to the local culture of Hyderabad and south of India.
Wow, these are very nice, strong and distinct brand pillars that you have for the Meriden brand.
Thanks. You should definitely experience it.
Yes, I will.
Hyderabad, no?
Thank you. Sukhbir, last question for you. What role does sustainability play in your operational strategy at Novotel Hyderabad Airport?
Well, I think that's now at this point in time something that we breathe in, breathe out. I think the day starts with discussing sustainability, ends with it. We are very proud to share that you mentioned earlier in the conversation that people are now being motivated to look at third-party certifications. And I think we were one of the first ones in Hyderabad. In fact, we went out even to the extent of saying we were the first hotel in south of India to get the Green Key certification. And that is an external certification now, which is a fairly diligent audit that goes through. They are fairly strict about the parameters that they look at and whether they award you or not. And now we have been certified for over a year. And as a brand, I think we moved into the single-use plastic, removal of single-use plastic some time back. I think it's been over 3 years that we moved out of single-use plastic across the hotel. We moved away from plastic to the extent that even the water bottles are all glass. And we were very fortunate to have found a partner for our water in the room, which is a local hotel company, which is a local bottling company in India, in Hyderabad, which gives us atmospheric water, which means they don't draw water out of bore wells, but they actually pick it up from the atmosphere and then bottle it and give it to us. And there's a little bit of a storytelling there to the customers. We have our own bottling plant, which means we've kind of reduced our dependence on plastic bottles, etc., because you can't just have a plastic bottle in our hotel at this point in time. We are a large hotel. Outside, there was no paucity of space, so we have our own patch, which is like a 6,000 square feet garden. We grow our own vegetables, not in entirety, but to a large extent. We have programs called Patch to Fork or Farm to Fork. Water, since we are in the airport ecosystem, we can't have bore wells. So we are all dependent on piped water. So we are extra cautious, the owning company, the brand, everybody is extremely cautious about what are we doing with water. We are trying to weigh every morsel of food that is going into waste. And every year, there are very strict guidelines about reducing food waste. So the chefs and the F&B, they're all constantly trying to be able to see what can be done to be able to, because as a large hotel, I run some large restaurants for buffets, and to see what are the opportunities there to be able to curtail food waste as we move forward. So water, energy, as a hotel, I think close to 20% of our electricity is now through solar panels. And I think as we move forward, we will want to kind of keep increasing the installations. And electricity by itself, we have targets to be able to reduce it year on year by at least 5 to 10%. And this year, because of the installation of solar panel, we moved away from the regular electricity consumption by close to 25%. So yeah, so I think ESG is here to stay. It's a completely strong focus, one of the key KPIs for the hotels, and we are here to deliver.
Wow, you seem to have quite a head start in this space as compared to most of your, other peers, I would say. Great. Bhuvanesh, over to you. You're on mute.
Sorry, I also muted out. So it's very interesting to hear what everybody is saying, but it's time, I think, we move beyond plastic bottles and glass bottles because the challenge is a lot bigger. And I think the devil lies in the food. These buffets are perhaps the biggest killer. So the food is something we need to manage. And how do we manage? Because what kind of portion for what kind of price? So all in all, but I think we need to keep rubbing it in. One doesn't need to teach the preacher. You people are, the gospel like the backside of your hand. So let's now get into the final rites of the show with this short KBC. What do you say, Shrikant? Over to you.
Okay, so when it's KBC, it's the fastest finger first principle, Bhuvanesh?
Or we'll ask all of them, and then at the end we'll tell them who's right.
Okay. So I would say the first question would be, what is the approximate growth rate of Hyderabad's hospitality sector over the last half a decade, 5 years or so?
The growth rate, hotels growing, or the growth rate of the revenues of hotels in Hyderabad?
Industry.
I would say both, because both are kind of correlated to each other. Or let's talk about ADR growth first.
Yeah, so yeah, RevPAR, yeah, that's what I thought. I would say 5 years, 5 years, so year on year, cumulative, it should be 20% for Hyderabad being the highest in India is what I think. It should be up north of 20%. Year on year, cumulative 20%.
Who else is going for it?
So Shrikant, if you actually look at the last 5 years and take the COVID off, looking at the STR data, it should be somewhere. If you look at per year growth, it should be somewhere in the range of 10.5 to 11% per year over the last 5 years. If you take off the COVID year.
I think I also feel the same way. I mean, if you take 2020-21 in perspective, because there was a degrowth in everything, then it would be almost 18 to 20%. But if you consider 2019 as the base year, it would be around 12%.
Yeah, so I think Vaibhav was talking about growth in the
Sukhbir,
post-COVID era.
Sukhbir?
Bhuvanesh, these guys are from Hyderabad. I'm from Samshabad. So I decided to say shut up. But I've been here last 2 years. I can tell you that this ecosystem, the way that I operate in, that has grown by about 50% in last 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
The city itself has grown by 27% year on year. But when you look at 5 years, it'll be interesting to know what the correct answer is.
Yeah.
All right, Shrikant, over to you.
So I think 20% is the post-COVID growth that we witnessed, and that is something which we need to really take into consideration, because before that we used to always say 2019 was the best ever year. Then 2022 became the best year, 23. So it's been growing exponentially as a market. And with a few new places also coming up, I think there is room for everybody, especially, in the financial district and Gachibowli side of town. Is witnessing some great growth. This side of town, relatively less, I would say, because everything is, a lot of business has shifted to the other side of town, and they are really kind of milking the market, I would say. Okay, Bhuvanesh, you got something, or should I ask one more question?
No, you go ahead.
Okay, I have one more. So let's talk about, guys, the percentage of international visitors to Hyderabad in the last 2 years. let's take a guess.
Well,
How
since
much?
I was the last one to answer last time, I can tell you our numbers have remained in terms of percentage of foreigners visiting. Again, my ecosystem is very different because it's transient, project,
So just
crew,
tell us,
etc.
you have to give us a number.
20%. For us, I can tell you the exact number. These are 22% is the foreign clientele for my hotel.
Acha. What about the others?
I'd hazard a guess at about 15% for the city.
Okay.
I think hotel specific high-tech city is much higher. So if I talk about hotels in high-tech
We're
city,
talking about Hyderabad.
yeah,
Let's not
if
get
you
it
talk about
wrong.
the airport, it should be 5 to 7% because I know there's a huge travel of domestic. So that has diluted the foreign travel. So it would be around 5 to 7% of overall travel.
Just give us a percentage number.
7%.
Arnab?
I think it's pretty low. I think it should not be more than 5% because I think I read some article where the foreign travel is not yet reached the 2019-20 figures, and we have a high
So
domestic.
the right answer is between 10 and 12%. Right? So that's the kind of number that we're talking about. So, yeah, good. So that brings us to the end of the show. We've had a wonderful show. Shrikant, why don't you summarize?
I think it was really interesting, to hear insights from each participant, right from Arnab, who spoke about how they've been repositioning the brand, the hotel actually, not so much the brand, but the hotel after it underwent a thorough renovation and the F&B spaces as well. Amit spoke about his own hotel, the convention spaces, and what Marriott on the whole is doing, including the think tank, which is a very interesting idea. We
Very
got some
interesting.
great insights from Vaibhav about what Meriden brand stands for. Not too many people knew about the coffee and the eclair and the art and the culture that is a reflection of that brand, because that brand in the Marriott scheme of things, I think we need to spread more awareness of that brand. I think they're doing a great job in,
Typically a French brand by the Americans in India.
Yeah. Then, of course, Sukhbir spoke about what he considers is not Hyderabad, but Shamshabad. So that was a very interesting perspective. They were doing some great initiatives on sustainability at the hotel. So I think kind of pretty much covered everybody, right?
Yeah, we've covered everybody. So, pretty much you've summed it up well, but I want to add a thing or two, Shrikant.
Yes, please.
First of all, to Shrikant, I've seen you over the years. I've seen you grow to where you are. I think you are a great leader and a man of few words, but very solid words. And here you've done a 10 on 10 job, great moderation. All right. So I'm so happy you led this show. But Shrikant, you will agree with me. I have been meeting almost 10 to 12 general managers every week over the shows.
Yeah.
What assures me, what is so reassuring actually, is that this industry is in damn good hands. All right, we have tomorrow's leaders today on screen. And each one of them, I mean, Amit, Arnab, Vaibhav, Sukhbir, all of them, they are great leaders and they're growing places. They move from one hotel and one city to the other. They've got a family and the family is with them. So damn good work. Keep on the good work and keep lifting this industry. But one piece of advice, take under your charge youngsters who need help. Because we wouldn't have been where we are if our seniors had not given us the right direction and held our hand. So good show. I'm very happy with the outcome of the show today, and I'm sure you're looking forward to more shows. We should do more of them together. Like I said, a big thank you to Shrikant and all of you. And before I go away, I want to thank Diversey again with the video, and then we come up and close the show. this season we are doing 2 shows a day, 4 shows a week, twice every Thursday and Friday from 4 to 5 p.m. and 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. We bring in the best topics that this industry needs to debate upon, the most important topics. And debating them are, like I've always maintained, the finest general management and hospitality talent that our industry and country can afford. And you see them on your screen. Be where they are by joining this industry and support BW Hotelier to bring you more such gems. Thank you again, Shrikant. Thank you, Amit. Thank you, Sukhbir, Arnab, Vaibhav. And thank you, Team BW, and thank you, Team BW Hotelier, for churning out show after show. I was delighted to be here. I'm sure you liked it too. Thank you again. Amit,
Thank you very much.
Sukhbir, bye.
Thank you.